Yo, what's going on, everyone? It is Baze here, and I'm bringing you another Mythic Plus guide. Today we'll be covering Aldani. This dungeon, comparative to the other dungeons on PTR, is pretty chill. The only thing you need to worry about in these first few packs is the Engorging Might, and that is because they're cast. Each time it goes off, they will get a ramping damage amp, and that damage amp will occur after they die. So they explode for a lot of damage if they get those cast off, but those are really the only important kick mobs you need to worry about. The other thing you need to worry about is the Voracious Gorger. He throws swirlies on the ground, and it does do a little bit of damage. So you just dodge that. And then the other mob we're going to be pulling here in a second is going to be the Ravenous Destroyer. The Ravenous Destroyer throws a circle on you. You just take it out and make sure you don't stack it on anyone. And then he also puts a beam on you, so you don't want to move with that. If you ever did Muggsy, it's similar to the Muggsy beam, where you just take it out and you stand there. This can not get scary, but it can put out a lot of damage if you pull big. So if you have the swirlies going out and you have the beam on you or the circle at the same time, you just want to use the defensive there. Other than that, you're pretty much just chilling. You can CC if you don't have a kick up, and also you want to make sure you stay in melee because these mites jump around. So for your melee DPS, you want to make sure, or for your range DPS, sorry, you're going to want to make sure you stay near melee so that melee can get all their damage off on the mobs and cleave them down. The first boss in this dungeon is Azhiccar. Azhiccar is a pretty chill boss. The first mechanic he does is he spawns these ads. These ads get a ramping damage amp every time they jump, so you just want to make sure you burn them down. The second mechanic he does is he puts a swirly on you, so you want to take this out because after the swirly goes off, it will leave a puddle. Ideally, the perfect scenario is that you drop these puddles where the ads are going to spawn. Once you do this dungeon a few times, you'll get the hang of where they're going to spawn. So if you put this under the ads, it'll slow them down. So that is why you want to put them there. And the reason you want to slow them down is because if they reach the boss at all during intermission, the boss will also get a ramping damage amp. So it's very bad if the ads hit the boss at all during intermission. During this phase, it doesn't matter. So this is intermission. He does a suck in, and he also, that blue circle under him, you do not want to touch that at all. It is a one shot anytime you touch it. At least on PTR right now currently. It is a one-shot. It might change. If it does, I'll leave a comment down below. So all you need to do here is just CC the ads, kill them, burn them down, and that is it. That is the entire fight. If you do it perfectly, this fight's pretty much a joke. It's pretty chill. Maybe in a higher key, it'll get a little crazy because the ads will be a lot tankier. But yeah, that's it. That's the entire fight. So that's the first boss. The mobs in this area get a little harder, and they hit a little harder. The important mobs to know here are the Overcharged Sentinel. He has a shield. After you break that shield, the mob will start pulsing a target player, a randomly targeted player. And after that player is hit, they will leave a puddle under them. So you want to watch your feet. And the boss also casts Arcane Slash, which is a tank funnel. So everyone just needs to be careful for this. The puddle does do a lot of damage. The second mob you need to worry about is the Wastelander Farstalker. It does a zap that's up to 3 players. You just kick this. The other mob is the Tamed Ruin Stalker. It puts a line out that will indicate where the mob is going to dash, so you just dodge it. You can also CC it if you don't want to have to worry about dodging it and to min-max your uptime on DPS. The one thing I wanted to note here is that before the second boss, you have to kill all of the trash around it, or at least most of it. Some of it near the back you don't have to touch, but you can do big pulls here. It does get a little crazy once you do that, but the boss will not spawn until you kill all the trash around it. So I just wanted to leave that little note in here for anyone who hasn't done the dungeon yet so that you know that, and if you're curious why the boss isn't spawning in. The second boss of this dungeon is A'wazj. This is one of the only areas that I felt like I was in threat of dying. He does do a lot of damage with his abilities. So the first thing he's going to do is Rift Claws, which is a tank hit. The second thing he's going to do is Binding Javelin. It just chooses 2 random targets and roots them. You just break this and they're free. The third thing he's going to cast is Warp Strike, which targets a random player, and the boss dashes to them. After hitting the player, it does splash damage, so you want to make sure you're not stacked on anyone. And the next thing he's going to do is go and phase into intermission. The goal of intermission is to break him using these lines. As you can see, he has orbs around him. Every time you hit him with these lines, these little lizard lines, it will break an orb. So I believe it's 6, might be 7 breaks. Either way, you want to make sure you are not stacked on your teammates with this line, because it hurts for a lot of damage. You want to make sure you have a defensive up for this. And then after you break him out, you will be able to cleave both bosses to target. So the next thing you need to worry about is after you kill the second boss, you will be thrown into this open area. The most important new mob in this area is the Wastelander Pack Speakers. They have a few abilities which are really important. The first one is Arcane Bolt, which you can kick. The second one is Erratic Ritual. It pulses for a lot of damage over the course of 6 seconds, so just make sure you use the defensive here. And the third ability that is important is Consume Spirit, which you'll see right here. It puts a 99% damage reduction onto the boss, so you want to make sure you prio that. And each time the boss channels, it gains an Absorb Shield from that ad as well. So it is the biggest thing to focus is that spirit. Also, I want to note these little totems right here. You do get a little haste buff and movement speed buff. I'm not sure if that's going to be a meta thing or not to do in keys, but it doesn't hurt either unless you're running short on time. But this dungeon felt pretty free time-wise, so I don't think you'll have to worry about that. But yeah, it's a nice little haste buff. I just wanted to throw that in there for anyone who didn't know. Also, there's another mob in here which we didn't pull, but they are little bug things. You'll see them burrowing throughout the dungeon. You want to make sure you do not pull those. They do a lot of damage. They are the burrowing creepers. They have a dash ability. They also have Singing Sandstorm, which does group-wide AoE, and they also have an instant damage group-wide, which is Earth Crusher, and it also spawns swirlies. We did not pull that in here. We do have this little purple bug, but they'll just do little swirlies on the ground, which you can just dodge. So yeah, if you see any brown burrowing on the ground, just make sure you do not run into that or pull it, because it does hurt, especially on a high key. I mean, it'll be a meta thing to pull, but I doubt it. Alright, now that we've covered every single mob type, let's talk about the final boss in the dungeon, Soul-Scribe. So the most important thing here that you need to know is that every time he does a mechanic, there will be an image of yourself that you have to go and pick up. If you fail to pick up the image, or if the image gets hit by a mechanic, it will leave a massive dot on you. Also, the boss will put 5 circles on everyone. You just take these out, do not stack. They hit for a truckload. As you see, I didn't even stack, and it took like 75% of my HP. Also, the boss will have an intermission. During this intermission, he will have 2 cones, and one of your images, at least one, will be in the cone. Sometimes it can be up to 2. And as you can see there, I didn't pick mine up in the cone, so I am now taking massive dot damage. So just make sure you pick up all 3 of your images. Ideally, you want to prio the one inside of the frontal cones. And after that, it is just rinse and repeat. You're just dodging, picking up your images. But the gimmick of this fight is to make sure you're always picking up your images and that they don't get hit by a mechanic, or you will take a dot over time and it hurts for a lot of HP. And that is the entire guide for Ecodome Aldani. If you guys found this helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, or leaving a comment down below. I will be putting the 4 dungeons coming back from this expansion. I'll be putting those up over the next few days. So if you want to see more, let me know. Thank you guys for watching.